My name's David from NAAIP.org. We have a very special guest today, an agent named Philip from Colorado. Philip has a storied past and hopefully a successful future. And let's break right over to Philip. And Philip, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for having me on.
I'm glad to hear that. Philip was telling me before the call he's been all over the world, various jobs. He's getting back into the insurance business or getting into the insurance business. Everyone needs a job. Everyone needs a career. And Philip, the question should be, what brings you to the insurance business?
Well, I think I'm attracted to it to be able to set my own hours and to be able to create a large residual income.
And I suppose you feel you have the skill sets that are needed in this business that would cause you to succeed. Is that to hit the nail on the head to some extent?
Not really. I actually don't have the skills, which is why I haven't succeeded, but I'm trying to develop them, like skills of like pretty much everything like I've learned about the insurance, I had to learn from scratch, like how to use an auto dialer, how to use a computer, how to organize Excel spreadsheets. So most of my time has been kind of spent trying to figure out, like I come up with a game plan, like I'm going to call people 8 hours a day, but then I can't because my phone's not fast enough or the script won't appear so I kind of spent like just a lot of time trying to figure out. And then when I first started cold calling people, I didn't know what to say. So they'd be like, no, blah. And then I figured out, if I just say anything nice, then they'll start talking, But the main things I've struggled with are being able to put two and two together. Like when I get an interested client, you got to be able to submit them right away.
Okay, Philip, I hate to say this. I'm a little bit embarrassed to say this, but NAIP has over 13,000 people that have registered for our system the last couple of years. We offer free websites, free quote engines. So you can imagine a lot of people that are coming in and out of the business, they're very attractive to that word free. You see the word free, check it out, click, click, click. Lo and behold, you have a free website. And I've looked at the numbers, and my job, once people sign up, is to get people to properly put the website on their own domain name, then do the proper steps to move up the search engine. And I see the numbers that it's a relatively small number that will implement those next steps. Philip, you may have been on the internet on YouTube lately, and you've seen that there's a gentleman who makes a ton of videos. He keeps this tagline, hey, 92% of the people who come in don't succeed. And I see those numbers loud and clear based on looking at my spreadsheet of people who do stuff successfully, which is really the vast majority don't do stuff successfully. The insurance business and every other business that's ever been before and that will come afterwards have certain steps. Most of life is a step-by-step basis. And if you do those steps, the likelihood of succeeding is much greater. And when did you get your insurance license?
Originally in 2014.
Okay, right now we're 7 years fast forward. What have you been doing for the last 7 years?
Just trying to sell insurance. I mean, I ended up delivering food for 5 years with Grubhub along the way. And then with insurance, which is kind of like part of Prudential, I hit a lucky spot where during AEP, they had a lot of call-ins for Medicare supplements, Advantage plans. So I had a little bit of money. So I'm broke again. I got to make more sales.
Okay, you seem like you're not much of you're not very shy.
I'm pretty shy, but I was an English teacher for 5 years, and I had to just talk. So I guess I'm kind of good at talking at length.
You got good at talking. I get you.
Like they would ask me, I would have to have like a whole 50-minute class planned out because the kids in Asia, like they'll be quiet. Like Americans, you'd be like, hey, quiet. They'd be like, you can't tell me and blah, blah, blah. The Asian kids are cruel. They'll be like, hang their head and be quiet for 50 minutes. So you have to come up with a lot of material. Yeah, you have to talk, try to engage them.
What country were you at for 5 years?
Just South Korea.
That's a real country. It's not just South Korea. You were in South Korea.
Well, the only place I was in was South Korea. I mean, I traveled to Vietnam, China, Japan, all the surrounding agents, but I lived in South Korea.
The big city, which is called Seoul. Were you in the big city?
No, not a big city guy. I lived in a little farming town called Andong, and then because Korea was kind of hard. Like for me to go to Seoul by myself was really hard. It's like 20 million people, and everything looks the same. Like the only thing you can recognize are numbers. So I didn't really like go to Seoul by myself, except every once in a while.
Seoul is a super successful large city, very expensive, most likely.
Oh, it's great to go there. Yeah, most of the people live there. I think like the bulk of the country lives there.
Right,
but
it's 20 million. It's New York City.
Plus, due to demand, it was a lot easier to get a job out in the country. Like where I worked, it was like country. Like the kids were running around.
It's like it's sort of like finding doctors to work in Montana. There's a lot of job openings.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. So I spent most of my time just kind of like, not really the boonies, because Korea is pretty small. It's pretty easy to go to a big city, but the town I lived in was pretty small.
Okay, let's get back to the insurance. So you've been doing this insurance stuff for 7 years. How much money? Yeah, if you don't want to answer, you don't have to answer. But what was your, when you say you were making good money during that time at Assurance? What was your salary for that particular year? You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Well, I can't. It wasn't really for the year. It was just a few months last October. I guess I made like not even big, $3,000 or $4,000, for the month. Like,
so you're making $1,000 a week for a short period of time, based on what what you just described to me. I imagine for the other 7 years that you've been in this business, it's been substantially less, and that would be an understatement.
I was just closing. Yeah, an understatement. Yeah, I really didn't make much because I just every once in a while I'd work a booth and find a few people up, or mostly cold calling because I mean, living in Korea, I didn't really know anybody anyway, other than
besides the Assurance. Medicare or health insurance that you were selling for those few weeks, what products have you been pushing?
Medicare Advantage plans or supplements, and then life insurance.
Doesn't Medicare have
simplified issue or guaranteed?
Don't Medicare have very strict laws about contacting people? Medicare Advantage?
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, the Medicare stuff I do is primarily call-ins for people who responded to advertising. When I call people. If I call people as like 65 or older, I usually just say I'm offering free life insurance quotes. I don't really talk to them about Medicare.
I see. The way it sounds is you haven't really been making a lot of sales.
No. You can talk to people about supplements because, see, if you can't call people about Advantage plans because those are federal contracts and blah, blah, blah. They're regulated by CMS, but supplements are private insurance. So you can call people anytime you want about.
And they've got very strict laws about you can't switch them from a supplement to an Advantage and all these rules and regulations.
But see, I think that's changed too, because like in 2014, it was, I guess Obama was president when I came back, and you couldn't call, period, nothing. Like if you called one old person, they were going to shatter into 100 pieces like an egg. But then now, like after Trump, I think they deregulated it, and now you can call people all day long. But these poor people that I talk to, like for Medicare, they're like, you guys called me 18 times, and all I did was click on a Facebook ad. So I guess once you give consent, you can call them.
And people are calling them regardless. I don't really know the regulations, but I was just told that they're very strict regulations.
I don't call them because they get transferred to me, but I guess apparently like the workaround on not being allowed to call is that once they give permission, now you can call.
I get, but they're only given one. But for you, were you working for other companies that were transferring these people to you during this short period of time you worked for Assurance?
Was I work for other? No, just Assurance is the only one I've worked for.
So how did you get your leads of people calling you?
No one's ever called me. I cold call people. I mean, like
you cold call. You primarily
my neighbor's like mother-in-law called me because she was moving from Arizona, but no one's ever really. Yeah, I call people.
So your specialist is cold calling. So you did mention to me, Philip. So you're getting lists of people to call.
Yeah, like Age Lead Store, Next. I've tried a lot of them. I don't know.
Get it? And what is your opening line?
I've tried various. The one that seems to work best for me is like, my name's Phil. I'm a licensed agent in your state, and I'm Phil Bicking, and I'm just licensed agent in your state. So I'm calling people to offer free quotes, and most people
Okay.
are like,
Okay,
at least that's kind of an icebreaker.
let me get you. I do, Phil. Believe it or not, I don't want to knock your socks off, but
I've tried a lot of different pitches. Yeah.
I personally have a lot of experience in call centers and being successful. Apparently compared to what you're doing, it may be the opposite realm. Let me just do some screen sharing right now so you can see what I'm looking at. Selling annuities by phone. I'm Googling that. This big video that pops up right towards the top, right below the ads, is a video that I made, which was based on a phone script that also went to the top right under the ads. You can imagine anything to do with selling annuities by phone. People are willing to pay a lot of money for these advertisements. These people are paying $3, $4, $5 per click. I'm not paying for a click. But if you look at this sales script, as you scroll down, it's really cut to the chase. And if you wake up in the morning, Philip, and you look at the logic of this sales script, which is, my name is not Philip, but your first name and last name. Your job as a salesperson is to answer people's questions before they ask you. If you wait for them to ask you, you will be causing them to think. If these people are thinking, they will hang up on you. That's a basic premise of all telephone sales or all sales. You answer people's questions before they ask. So just the fact that you were just the fact that you were saying your first name only is not good. When someone says my name is Philip, when they call me Blue, my immediate question in my head is, what's the guy's last name and where is he from? What city?
Right. I kind of fluctuated on that, but I understand. It's a little bit more formal to say your whole name.
Whatever it is, you may have seen our call from a couple of days ago from last Thursday. There was a gentleman from Maryland that was selling telephonically for the last 6 years. He had an anchorman type quality voice, and I suppose that's why he's still in the business and why he's been succeeding for the last 20 years. If you say the same thing over and over and over, eventually you develop a very high quality phone voice, which is needed to have people be interested in hearing what you have to say. I'm not saying everyone has to sound like Tom Brokaw or Walter Cronkite or whoever else is the anchorman today, but you have to. But it's much easier to pick up that type of quality if you say the same things over and over and over. Mm-hmm. You don't veer from it. You don't veer from that. Let me continue, Philip. If you look at this sales script, it's a very basic thing. Your goal when you speak to these people is that they do not hang up on you. The number one reason that people will hang up on you is if they believe you're not professional. They will pick that up from your voice. If you have a lackadaisical voice, if you have a relaxing voice, they're more likely to hang up on you. If you sound like you just came out from World News Tonight or CNN broadcasting from a war zone, like some sort of excitement, they're much more likely to hear what you have to say. You couple that with realizing that your job is to solve an issue that they have, but your job initially is to have them not hang up on you. So if you look at this sales pitch from top to bottom, you will realize the general nature of a sales pitch, which will not vary from one product to another. Initially, do not get hung up on. Do not pause. If you pause, they will think. If they think too much at the beginning of the phone call, they will hang up on you. Afterwards, maybe one or two paragraphs to explain that you're offering a needed service. At a certain point, you will ask them, Mr. Jones, you do have savings in the bank, right? Very simple question that will not demand an answer that they will think. It will just be right. At a certain point, you become friends with them going forward, collecting needed information, but you have to cause these people to believe that you're a needed professional. If you could do that, you make money. If you don't do that, you have to find a new job. One of the reasons that call centers succeed so much, Philip, is because you usually have one really charismatic or one really smart guy who's running the call center, who's good on the phone. Then you have an office manager who manages everything else. It's very hard to be good at both of those tasks. Mm-hmm. But if you could pick up, you can pick this up at your home office, but you have to do it right. And what I'm describing is the right way to do it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You want to come across as there's sort of an image people have of an insurance agent that's professional and well-spoken. But when you're trying to build rapport with people, it's almost like the opposite. Like you want to be not, I don't know.
Whatever it is. All I'm saying is people that work in call centers have a boss that forces them to be professional. That's all I'm saying. If you could do this yourself, you can make money and you could succeed. If you don't have that, you're more than 20, 30 years old. You should be able to pull yourself up. You're at the time of your life where you still have a couple of good years where you're at the tip top of your, I should say, white collar career. If you were doing blue collar work, which is lifting up bricks, maybe you're past your prime, but you're definitely not past your prime. But there is an issue that people that have mentorship or management, if it's good mentorship and good management, are more likely to succeed. And I just from what little you told me about what you're attempting to do on cold calling, it doesn't seem like you're succeeding. And I have to mention to you the sales pitches that I wrote and I used from multiple years of my life were successful.
Well, I mean, I'm succeeding, but not enough. I mean, I'm only writing a few policies. I'm not making really enough.
If you're just to let you know, the average salary in the United States is $1,000 a week. In South Korea, it's less, but that's what the average salary is here.
Yeah, it's about $750. Teaching on the side.
Okay, if you're a commission salesman, which is not a fun job. To being a commission salesman is not fun. You can imagine you have to make double, which is $2,000 a week. So if you're not making $2,000 a week doing insurance selling, there's something not working right.
Yeah,
that's really what I'm where I'm going.
Okay.
There's a method to the madness, and to our detriment, the vast majority of agents that are the vast majority of recruiting companies that are recruiting new agents are really not on your team. They're not really, they realize they're recruiting in an industry where the vast majority of people coming in are not suitable. The more suitable people are going to these large financial marketing companies such as New York Life, Northwest Mutual, Mass Mutual. So these independent marketing companies, I hate to mention to you, are fishing at the bottom of the barrel. Oftentimes, what they're trying to do is clean out people's bank accounts as the new agents coming in. But you've been doing this for 7 years, so I suppose you're well beyond that, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Philip? I'm
in limbo. I just want to make money.
Okay, so 7 years you've been doing this for how many years? Let's go back to months. How many months have you been doing this straight?
Well, without having to deliver food since last October. So November, December, January, February, March, April, May, about 8 months.
And how much, I don't want to get too much in detail, but during this 8 months, what's your average, let's say, monthly salary?
Well, see, it's still not enough.
It's not enough. So we'll just say it's not enough to pay your bills. Would that be a good way to say it?
Not enough to pay my bills, correct.
Okay, so what we want to do, we want to imitate those that are doing well, which makes sense. Does that make sense to an extent?
I can agree with that. I mean, yeah. Somebody's doing something right if they're making $2,000 a week.
I mean, let's just figure out, hey, to stay in this business, to make it worth your while, you would imitate those that are doing well.
Okay, yeah.
Imitate those who are doing well. I could tell you the marketing companies are bringing people in, for the most part, in the final expense realm. those people aren't doing well. That's why they're always recruiting, and they're always trying to sell new agents leads, empty out bank accounts. We just want to stay away from that whole realm. The Medicare, is completely dependent on contacting people when they're in the midst of process of making a decision. Very much dependent on advertising, on certification, staying within the law. My company has contracts for all the Medicare companies. You would be responsible to do the certifications. If it was Medicare Advantage through us, you're more than welcome to do that. But I have to mention it's very advertising specific. It's very seasonal. It's during that open enrollment period. If you're contracted through us, we could set you up at a Walmart, a Walgreens, or a CVS, and that's a job that should make you that $2,000 a week during that specific open enrollment period. So if you are contracted through us, you'll be set up. That's good, which is definitely good. But what do we do during the other 45 months of the year? That's a good question. And you're waiting for the answer.
Write more policies.
Right, more policies. Okay, I've got the answer. I have to mention to you the most successful people, Philip, in this business are from the mutual life insurance companies. I mentioned a few of them: New York Life, Mass Mutual, Northwest Mutual. Those people are making money. They do have the skill set and the know-how to do an illustration. Mutual insurance companies, for the most part, are paying between 5 and 7% on whole life or IUL. And you show people these illustrations, the average salary, the average policy is $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 per year on these type of retirement planning vehicles. The good thing that you have is the people that are more likely to be spending $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 per year would be closer to your age. And they will, since they are older, they have bigger, the cost of insurance is more money. What I would want you to do is to learn one of these. I do know that New York Life is a very strict acceptance of who they're accepting into their organization. They start agents at 55%. Through my company, we start people at between 90 and 100%. On a mutual insurance company, which I am not allowed to name on this YouTube presentation, it's one of the top 5 life insurance companies in America. The reason I cannot name them is because they literally have tens of thousands of agents that are selling these same policies at 30, 40, and 50%, and we're doubling or tripling that. So you can imagine they want me to keep it on the less publicity side. We're trying to keep stuff relatively simple. We also have contracting for a top final expense company. We start agents off at 122%. You could sell it easily over the telephone. And your job is to learn a product line, but primarily product lines where you can make a living. Is that starting to make sense, Philip?
Yeah. Which product lines do you think are the best to sell?
I would say retirement planning. There's nothing like retirement planning. You show people illustrations where it's between 5 and 7% interest, and people put a big chunk of change in their savings into this type of financial vehicle, and you make quite a few $1,000s on each sale.
Is it an annuity or is it a life insurance that creates income?
It's a life insurance policy that creates income. If you flip over, let me do this right now. Let me do screen sharing.
Because I wondered about this. I was looking at comparing this and GULs or something like that.
Right. The advantage that any life insurance company has is they're allowed to. I'm going to Google the word IUL information right here. The first one that
I was trying to wrap my head around those. I was reading through those.
The first one that pops up, I'll just read this to you. The first one that pops up is a page that I wrote personally. So I do know the page. Okay. But realize an index universal life is really a universal life policy where part of the money is going into the stock market. While a whole life policy, which all the major mutual insurance companies are selling, is not being the extra money is not being put into the stock market. It's being purely put into savings. And those mutual insurance companies, for the most part, are paying between 5 and 6% interest, which is nothing to sneeze at if it's compounding on a regular basis. It's on a tax-free basis, eventually becoming tax-free incomes. But the concept does not differ. All you're doing is putting money into a life insurance policy. Then you've got the excess money going into savings, which has tremendous tax advantages. Is that starting to?
Yeah.
And that's what New York Life, Northwest Mutual are selling.
I remember that. I interviewed with the VP of something once and signed up for a mutual life insurance company. That's where they invest the
right. These are the agents that are making money. I'll tell you one thing. A lot of the agents coming into NAIP or these Mickey Mouse mortgage protection final expense companies are not making money. And I have to tell you, it's because they're selling products where you really don't make much money, even if you make a sale, and they've got very high cancellation rates. I guess targeting broke people when you're a financial salesperson may not be from the book of good ideas.
Yeah, that's another thing I noticed. I need to get better prospects because a lot of them are like, you're like $28 a month for the payment. They're like, I can't afford it.
Right, that's a little bit crazy. That's a little bit crazy.
Okay, people can afford $50 a month.
I'm not saying that you would give up what you're selling. I'm saying you would broaden your horizon where you know the product line of a product that you could actually make a decent chunk of change when you do make a sale. That's all I'm saying. Because you know what you know. What you know is not going anywhere. It'll stick around. You'll still be contracted with those type of products and you'll still run into sales, but it's not really where your focus should be if you want to stay in this business and make money. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. You want to be able to get a good commission from each sale.
And let me just go to our webpage, which is naip.org/IUL-information. But the same would hold true for a whole life policy, a big whole life policy paying between 5 and 6% interest. IUL illustrations right now are paying 7% interest, but that's besides the point. These things, of course, do change as the years progress. Right here, it says Summarized View Indexed Universal Life, IUL. Life insurance policies have been granted by federal tax law tremendous tax advantage that allow the policy holders to, number one, pay premiums with after-tax income. Number two, receive benefits, death benefits tax-free. Number three, supercharge investment growth by overfunding the policy to take advantage of tax deferral. Number four, borrow money from the overfunded amounts in the policy at a very low interest rate.
I talked
here,
to a guy that probably qualified for that.
Lower the amount of life insurance in force as one gets older when the cost of insurance gets expensive. The last main bullet point is let an IUL illustration software show you the maximum amount of cash you could dump into the policy and enjoy tax deferral and eventually tax-free money. Philip, if you've been a life insurance agent for the last 7 years and you're not familiar how to illustrate one of these type of policies, that's a sad situation. So you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, illustrate these type of policies. When you run into people just in your course of daily business who would benefit from this type of policy, realizing when you do sell a term life policy, it really should be the first step for selling a permanent type of policy, which provides retirement planning.
Now, when you say illustrate, do you mean to generate an illustration like out of WinFlex and show it to them? Because they never seem to read those.
Correct.
Or do you mean illustrate as in demonstrate to them, like show them?
For the most part, when you work for New York Life or Northwest Mutual, they will hire impressive-looking people who dress nice, who are somewhat intellectual and somewhat persuasive. I'm not saying they're Einstein, but that they could go in front of someone, they would show them a few pieces of paper, and the end result is that the client will be forking over $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 per year. and that commission goes to you. If you go through us, you get the first year commission. If you go through them, you get approximately half the money. So, most people like double the money, which is exactly, through our company, what you're getting paid. We've got some more bullet points. And IUL is the only product in the USA that allows virtually unlimited investments that could eventually be withdrawn tax-free. And this is definitely something that you have to know about. There's a little bit of technical basis about this, about a AG 49 look back period, which is specific to an index universal life. You have to know about. Read this page. It has all the information. But I've noticed, Philip, that just the pure whole life without involving the stock market, when you give people 4 or 5, let's say right now it's between 5 and 6% interest, is definitely a sellable entity. So you don't have to go to index universal life, which complicates it a little bit. Hold on a second, my light is going a little bit crazy, so I am moving my light right now. Hopefully you do forgive me before it crashes.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Okay, we are good. Okay, my light, I believe, is really bad now, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back to my camera.
It's okay.
Okay, we are good. So all you literally have to do, Philip, is sell stuff that makes money, which is a good place to start. Would you say that's pretty good?
Yes, I'm on board with that.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do is send me an email requesting contracting. Right here, it does mention the word email me if you want recruiter level contracting from a top 5 life insurance. I should probably edit that to say the word to the top 5 mutual insurance company. Let me go right here. If you want recruiter level and we'll get you started, because it's only a mutual insurance company where you could offer this really high interest rates on a whole life policy. A for-profit company cannot do that for you. So
but
there's
do they get income out of it, or are they building a reserve?
You're building I will answer the question. They're building money. It's all in the illustration. The illustration sells itself. Once you become proficient at showing these illustrations, you're in business.
I agree. Yeah.
If you never go there after 1, 2, 7 years in business, you definitely have an insurance license with probably 2 hands tied behind your back, which is not a good place to be.
Well, I think, a lot of the insurance companies spend more time recruiting. It's like church. Once you're recruited, you're on your own.
Right.
And it's I guess, you're supposed to know all that, just like you're supposed to, anything you do. But I guess no one explained it, and I just figured it out on my own.
Right. You have to go through. A lot of times what I've noticed as well, they get agents contracted for, multiple insurance companies, which really makes it confusing. And what NAIP has started to do is, we had that same system beforehand where we said we have 100 companies, click, 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 get all excited. But it's really up to you to learn the products from top to bottom on companies where you can make a living. And we've got it covered now. We've got one main final expense company. We've got one main mutual top 5. Let me edit this. I edited it improper. I put the word recruiter level. We've got one major mutual life insurance company, and that's really all you need. Once you learn, just to let you know, when an agent works for New York Life, they only work for New York Life. They don't need anything else. They feel, in a way, it diminishes their brand if their agents are soliciting and talking about final expense. But we deal with a lot of insurance agents, so we also have a top final expense company. That's really what you got to do. And why am I so interested in you guys succeeding? That's probably your question, your next question. Why does David really care? Especially since we're offering people such high commission levels, where my agency, my company really isn't making a lot of money because of these super high commission levels that we're throwing out to anyone. Oh, so you do have a friend. Philip, I was afraid you don't have so many friends, but now I realize you have a lot of friends.
This is Flint. That's why I call my business Flint Rock.
I got you. That was Flint. So my interest is we've developed this really nice technology. And just as an aside, if you're in business, it's pretty darn important to come across as a professional person. So hopefully you'll set up your website properly. And that's really what it is. And that should be self-evident.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's all it is. That's all it is. Set up your website properly, come across as a professional person. Okay, let's get back to you. I'm doing too much talking. Man, I woke up today and I said, hey, in order to succeed at YouTube, I have to keep it really interesting, which means not saying the same thing over and over. Because if I say the same thing over and over, it's, people come to one call and that's that. So Philip, but the story that you're going through doesn't really need you to say so much because you're really not succeeding. So there's not really much you can tell people. So that's why I had to jump in and say something.
Yeah,
to an extent.
I didn't know I'd be on like, hey, make 20 grand a month. That's my goal. I mean,
But
what you got? I didn't know people were looking at me for advice. My advice is stay in school.
Stay in school, get a profession, don't become an insurance agent.
But I mean, definitely, I've seen people make money. I just personally,
7 years is a long time.
Well.
7 years is a long time. If it was going to happen, it probably should have happened already.
Well, maybe. I mean, I got scammed by the first company I joined. Like,
okay. What is the name of the company? You could tell us. We have to make
Transamerica Financial Advisors.
Okay, let me just jump in about Transamerica. Transamerica is selling for you guys to be financial advisors. The problem with Transamerica, it's a for-profit company based in the Netherlands, which means you cannot compete against a mutual insurance company such as what my company is pushing forward, encouraging you guys to contract with. Imagine if, I described an index universal life, but the vast majority of people are buying these big whole life policies where you see on the illustration between 5 and 6% interest rate. That can only be gathered or shown based on a mutual insurance company giving the profits as dividends, which Transamerica can't do because they're a for-profit company based in the Netherlands. So
I mean, the guy that recruited me was faking all his insurance sales because he was embezzling money from his clients. It was all like everything I learned was just made up. That's why I'm saying I guess I should have given up after that point, but that's what I'm saying. I just had to figure it out on my own because everything they presented me was absolutely false. I couldn't believe it because after he got busted, it turned out he had a history of fraud. I'm like, how did the guy even get a license?
Did he go to jail? He got to jail?
Yeah, he got a long time. He got like 15 years.
Wow, that's a long time. And he was a licensed agent for Transamerica. How did he embezzle money?
For 20 years. Well, he was an accountant, so he would take the payroll funds from his clients and then write them a letter saying he had paid it, and then write the IRS a letter saying that they didn't have any employees, so he just kept the money. And I guess he managed to do it for like 140 people.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy stuff. And he recruited you under Prime America?
Transamerica. Yeah, man, those jerks, like, he recruited me in and blah, 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 blah. I got the $100,000 ring and blah,
That was 7 years ago?
All a fraud. Yeah, it was all a fraud. Every single aspect of it.
And they started
and those managers and the upper managers, they all vouched for him and they all, who are you? You're the new guy. Who are you to come up with these allegations? And I'm like, because I'm stupid. Because I don't have enough confidence in myself to really catch it right away.
You blew the whistle on him?
Well, I did, but nobody would listen to. Oh, I blew the whistle on him 100 times, dude. I was calling corporate and like, what's going on? Why is this guy giving me wrong advice every time I meet with him? Like, it was weird. It was like, why is the guy giving me opposite of good money making advice? And it was because everything was a cover, everything was a cover. And like, it wasn't small time, but we're talking $20 million.
Well, if he went to jail for 20 years, he must have did something really bad.
But I was convinced that the rest of the Transamerica office was in on it with them, because where's that 20 million bucks going to go except into annuities or pensions or fake this and that? That's why they were covering up for him. And so that's why I was the stooge. I was just another recruit in the group. But you can't prove something that heavy, because all they have to do is be like, oh, bad apple and blah, blah. You know, it's.
Well, he got
caught.
I'm
sure they were in on it.
Who did he get caught by?
Well, the IRS. I mean, they raided him. They got tipped off from somebody at Transamerica that he was, but dude, they knew about it. They knew about it for 10 years because he was doing it for they had to have known about it because there were, well, first off, he had 2 prior convictions for fraud. That should be a good lead, but he was clearly making money hand over fist, hosting the meetings for hundreds of people, guest speaker at all the conventions, and he couldn't have a conversation. I was 1 week into the business, and I'm what when do we actually call applicants and pitch them for insurance? We never did that ever. What? Because it was all just a big illusion.
Why did he bother recruiting you if he's making all this money from his fraud?
Because he needed to create the illusion that he had all these people that he was recruiting. So all his team, he needed a team.
As part of the Transamerica multi-level marketing system, that's what it demanded?
Yeah. In order to be a multi-level market. Well, it's a sign of your success that you've got this huge team. Not only are you successful, but you've got all these recruits that you've taught the business, and they're squirming their way up the ladder as well. So it was just to give the impression that he could recruit people.
And I guess you were the recruit from hell. You ended up putting him in jail for 20 years.
No, see, they wouldn't listen to me. I called.
One of the
how many people I called? I called FINRA. I called. I called every legal authority in the business. They didn't care. These things get handled at other levels. But he got topped by the IRS.
Well, one of the
but they didn't listen to me.
It may have been one person you called that called the IRS. You were just calling the wrong person. You should have called the IRS from the get-go.
Well, there's nothing for me.
Okay, are you in some sort of WeWork office?
Yeah, sorry, dude. I opened up my doors and my dog ran out. I'm trying not to get in trouble because I'm
okay. How much are you paying for that office? People. How much are you paying for that office?
It's $150 a month.
Well, it ain't bad. It comes with internet.
Yeah, it's got internet. I'm just in one of the phone booths.
It's actually the size of a phone booth.
It is, but most of the people are quiet. Yeah, it's just like a little room, like a little booth. But most of the people are quiet, and so you can't really make a lot of noise talking.
I understand. So you put your former boss in jail for 20 years. Hopefully,
I had nothing to do with it. They believed everything he said about me, and they terminated me on his word. No, they didn't listen to me, dude. I was a brand new recruit. I was living in Korea, and I had just come back. I'd just been back in the U.S. 6 months.
How long did you work for Transamerica?
About a year.
So you stuck around a year. Can we say this gentleman's name on this YouTube presentation so people could do a Google search?
Oh, Don Eiley. And then you'll see my name too, Phil Bicking, Iley.
Okay, so
you'll probably see me all over the place too, because I don't handle these things too well. I don't handle getting ripped off very well.
So they took you to the cleaners for that one, but they do start people at really low commissions at Transamerica, from what I've been told.
I never sold anything. I never even saw an application. I took the Series 6 license. I was getting all these, the Series 65. I was investing in marketing, but they never talked about insurance. It was always just about getting a license, making $1 million. They never they never showed me what the products were, or they never showed me how to fill out an application. They kept me in the dark about the basics of the job, really.
Philip, just a couple of moments ago before this call, I ate. So the story that you're telling me is really turning my stomach.
I know, that's the thing. You tell people and they don't believe you. They're like, well, how can a legitimate,
No,
they're
but
all verified, So.
How do you be contracted in a business for 12 months of your life and not make one sale?
Because see, I had been living in Asia for 5 years, so I was just like, I was on my, I don't like, I made a sale, I made a couple sales, but like, how do you, by being me, like by being so disassociated from society that you don't really have anyone to talk to and explain what's going on. But I mean, I went out on my own. I went out and canvassed, and I went and called people, but I just didn't know like how to make a sale. I mean, I was led to believe that, there's people. A is potentially a prospect. Go meet with A, break the ice, pitch them, show them your product, give them your value proposition, and then when they're convinced that it's in their best interest to get a life insurance policy, then you sign them up. That's kind of like the basic sales process they gave me, except that it was flawed in the sense that like I didn't really understand. I didn't like. There was really no truth to the substance. There was no substance to it. It was just fluff.
So your direct manager was such a bad apple. The last thing on his mind was to help you succeed because he was trying to, spend all his money before he goes to prison. In a nutshell.
Well, he just basically, it was just a front. I mean, it was just like, yeah, he didn't have time for me. He didn't have time for anything. He just like,
and
he was too busy being rich. Yeah,
he was a rich guy. That's why rich. I'm not sure if you seen any of these mafia type movies. They don't have time for anything. They've got all this money coming in, and they want to enjoy life before they get caught because they know there's a chance they're going to get caught.
But he was a good salesman, but everything was just a salesman's rebuff, of why. Yeah, I don't know. You probably know better than I do. I don't really know what happened. I just know that was my first experience.
That was 1 year. So what happened after that first year?
Well, then I ran out of money because I only had so much money saved up from teaching overseas. So I got a job delivering food. And then I would call people from my car while I was driving around. And then I kind of was pretty good at that.
What products were you selling?
Mutual of Omaha. That actually worked out pretty good, but I ran into technical difficulties where when someone would say, yeah, I want to get signed up, I would pull over, but then I couldn't get a signal or I couldn't get the app to open. So this seems to be a business of, well, it's hot. Like as soon as somebody expressed an interest in enrolling, you need to do it right then. Because if you try to call them back next week, you never get a hold of them again.
Right. I guess coming across as a professional person is A1 on the list. The reason we're encouraging everyone to set up these websites well, because it all comes down to if these people believe that you're the utmost of professionalism. That's a good place to be. If they believe that you're the top dog.
It's hard to do, when you're working out of your car.
Right. I mean, if you don't have a website, if you don't have anything, if you just concentrating, if you're not focused, laser focused on convincing people that you're at the top level of that industry.
That's true. I don't think I give them the best impression.
Right. I suppose you got contracted through that company you mentioned through an independent marketing company. Is that correct?
Well, I think along the way, I got with Medicare and SMS. They sell mostly retirement products.
Right. They sell a lot.
Somebody I met there. Yeah.
I get it. And they gave you okay contracts, which was more than were getting through Transamerica, I believe. Is that correct? Was the commission a little bit better since it was an independent?
I'm not sure because like I sold 2 Medicare deals and I thought I was going to get $400 each. I thought I'd get $800 a few days later, but it ended up being in January. They sent me $40 and then they sent me $40, and I was like, this stinks. I thought I was going to make $800 right away, So they sort of just paid me month by month.
I get you. Okay, just to let you know, the thing about advanced commissions, it's always the upline who's guaranteeing the advances. When you're new in the business, it's rather risky because if you advance a loan to someone, if the upline is guaranteeing you a loan and they really don't know you and there's no history of money coming in, it's not something that most people want to get into. That's the scenario.
That was just my impression, like the way people described it to me. I guess, living like people generally just give you the high points of the good things. Oh, you're going to get a big commission. Hey, $500. That's I'm kind of gullible at myself, or not gullible, but I just I need to like anybody. I need to know what I'm talking about to get it. I probably get into this business not really knowing what I was doing.
Okay, so when did you are you still working with those companies that? What product that you went?
I mean, I get on every day. I saw a few. Oh, with Transamerica. I mean, that was like a year.
Mutual of Omaha. Are you still selling their product?
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while I'll sell like a life insurance or a supplement. But usually with Mutual of Omaha, I seem to take a lot of applications that don't close. I'm not sure. Most of the stuff I sold through Ethos. That's a whole life insurance policy. I sold through. That was a little easier because you get the instant approval. Like with Mutual of Omaha, you have to follow up. You have to submit it, and then they have to get the email and click and I'm like, I have no clue why somebody cannot get an email and open up and click on it. A lot of my clients can't seem to figure out email. I'm stunned. I'm like, what do you mean you can't figure it? It's just I'm just sending you this code, call the number, put in the code, and that's your e-signature. It's not but for some reason, maybe it's the way I come across, but they just can't seem to do it. So a lot of those deals fall by the wayside because I can't get them to follow up.
You mentioned now you're doing some sort of whole life or retirement planning. Ethos that I believe they're selling term life. Is that right? Primarily?
Yeah. Well, term and now whole life, and then now guarantee issue. So the best ones for me are the guarantee issue because I can put in the app and then get an instant approval, and then boom, you're approved and
it's done.
Yeah. If I get an instant approval on the phone, then it seems to be best than trying to follow up with people and get them to. Like I said, I'm stunned because when I was in Asia, any 80-year-old grandmother could figure out how to use a cell phone or a computer. They all knew how to. They're they all were geniuses about it. And you come to America and
they're playing video games all day.
Email, I'm like, well, what'd you do in the 70s? You were a stamp on an envelope. What are you talking? Really?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, let's get email. Just put in your ID and your password.
Do I really? Okay.
A lot of my people are just can't get beyond that.
Okay, just to let you know, Philip, when you're targeting low-income people, unsophisticated people, for financial products, it may not work out so well.
Yeah, I think I should probably up my game here, up my the kind of people, maybe go for people who make minimum 80, 100 grand a year,
or just average American salary, which means they're whatever they do. Okay, so you've been doing this consistently for the past couple of years. Ever since this Transamerica, between the delivering food and going back into the financial selling business.
Yeah, I mean, I've always consistently stuck with selling insurance, or trying to at least. I guess maybe I'm just keep trying. But I've had a lot of times, I shouldn't say I've been consistently doing it because I was actually out delivering food or living my life or whatnot. I mean, that seems to be the challenge, to be able to do it 8 hours a day consistently. Stay on the phone, because I think if I did that, I probably would get more sales.
Okay. Again, I don't want to ask you your exact salary. Were you making more money delivering food or selling insurance? Right. Let's say right now. I was
making more money teaching English in Asia. Neither of those jobs have really panned out. Neither one of them. Well, I mean, insurance probably has potential, but delivering food's
it paid more. It paid more to
it paid more, but it wore me out to a whistle. I mean, you can do it all day long and 7 days a week and make money, but it's hard, It's hard to live in a car.
It's a little bit dangerous as well. Always on the road.
Dangerous is. There's a lot of things.
Drunk driver doing a side swipe. You never know when that happened. It could happen at any moment.
Yeah, I mean, I did it like for like a long time, but yeah, that's I don't
And
have any little desire to go out and drive a car around
in the snow in the wintertime.
Yeah, at all. I mean, you know, I'm not a speed racer here.
If you get away with finding something else. So what I'd like you to do
is something I had to do.
I understand. So Philip, I welcome you aboard to NAAIP. I do put at the very bottom on our YouTube. There's a caption there that says create your free website and quotas at naip.org. Hopefully you'll up your game about coming about a little bit more professional. I'm pretty darn sure that will increase your income.
But I guess maybe like I don't even know what professional means because I studied music in college and their idea of professional was well, can you play? So like by insurance professional, you mean like the composure you have as a person or the way you come across to people?
That is correct. That is correct. Anything you could do, any little thing you could do to have people believe you're at the top of the profession is a good place to be.
That's really important.
I see what you're saying. When you go into New York Life and Northwest Mutual, they wouldn't hire me because I'm not wearing a tie. I'm doing this YouTube presentation in my office, home office. I'm not wearing a tie. What I probably should be doing tomorrow morning is going out to the store and buying a lot of really nice clothes and wearing a jacket. And I just started doing this YouTube stuff. I probably should pick up a better camera.
Yeah, I'm not too good wearing suits either. I feel like I'm all like I can't move. And
I know, but the fact is, I'm in the realm of YouTube and technology now. I've spent, I don't want to say millions of dollars, but the equivalent of millions of dollars developing a game-changing technology. This technology is completely dependent on me bringing it out to the masses. And if I'm not willing to observe what other people are doing who are succeeding and imitating those people, it's pretty bad. I'm not only speaking to you, I'm speaking to myself. All I have to do on these YouTube videos is see who's succeeding. And if you ever watch CNN or the various news channels, they put all their stuff on YouTube afterwards. And those guys are always, those anchor people are always wearing a suit and tie. And I'm not wearing a suit and tie, which is pretty ridiculous. It doesn't mean that I'm going to do it tomorrow, but at least I'm cognizant of what it's not knowing what you have to do. It's the implementation that matters. So Philip, let's implement. As a financial salesperson, you have to be presenting products to people where you can make a living. And for the most part, that involves an illustration. For the most part, that involves showing the tax benefits of retirement planning through a life insurance company, whether it be an index universal life or a big whole life policy showing 4, 5, 6%. But that's something you could be presenting to people, and that's where you make a living.
Okay, great.
That's all it is. That's all I gotta say. So what I'd like you to do, I physically cannot push you to accept a contract. What I could do is simply tell you, which I will put at the bottom of my YouTube, where it says, email if you want recruiter level contracting from a top 5 mutual life insurer, a major final expense insurer, or any of the dozens of insurers in Medicare, health, etc. Send an email to david@naip.org. We do put everyone at the top level commissions to keep it very clear and crisp. We're not messing around. Just everyone's at the top.
Okay.
As an aside, this website technology we're offering is pretty darn good. Hopefully you'll set it up properly. You'll put the website on your own domain name. I'll change the caption right now. Let me just see let's get your free forever NAIP website on your own domain name. Do the proper steps to move up the search engine. Personally, whenever you buy a big ticket or a small ticket item, you always do a Google search of what that is. And they're doing a Google search on you. Maybe not on these $22 policies for people that can't open up emails, but all the regular people, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's true. Probably somebody that's really sophisticated would be researching and looking around.
So let's do everything you can to come across as a little bit more professional, and that's a good place to start.
Great posture.
And wish me luck buying new clothes and relearning how to put on a tie every morning, which I at one point in my life I did do. In fact, that was the time of my life where I made the most money, when I wore a tie every day. Just as an aside.
Yeah, well, you probably look more spiffy in a tie.
A little bit more professional, because these we put up these YouTube videos in 2021. If they hit, they take off and you get 10, 20,000 views. And especially my computer programmers and my web designers are counting on me to succeed. So I definitely have to up my game just like everyone else.
Okay, I'll work on that to be more professional.
Right. And what else we would need to talk about? So, Philip, if you need contracting, all you got to do is send me an email. I'll get it over to you. We'll go forward. But again, being in a business for 7 years and not showing illustrations on a regular basis is not something that's good to hear.
Okay.
Considering that,
I just signed up for it. Go ahead.
So considering that's how most financial service professionals are making the decent checks. They're not making decent checks based on term life or guaranteed issue final expense. They're making money on these financial retirement vehicles.
Okay, great. Okay, I'll learn how to do illustrations.
Okay, if you requested contracting, hopefully you filled it out. Once you do get accepted to the top 5 mutual life insurance company, your job is to learn their product line from top to bottom. And immediately afterwards, I'll just give you an idea of what New York Life does. They have you write out a list of 200 of the closest people you know. If you're relatively new, if you don't have so many family members in your part of Colorado, you can even go as far as the people you've delivered food to in the past, for all it matters. It makes no difference. The illustrations sell themselves. The illustration is what sells. It's not you, it's not your car, it's not your tie. It's the illustration which causes people to put multiple hundreds of dollars every month into these type of policies. Okay. So you have to be able to illustrate. It makes sense, right?
I'm going to incorporate that from going out. I'll send them an illustration.
Well, you don't have to send it. What you have to do is you have to befriend people or contact people that are within a 20, 30, 40-minute drive from your house. Mm-hmm. Where you could do these Zoom presentations, but you could always follow it up, or at least keep it in the realm of possibility where you can meet these people face to face just to say hello and pick up that $5,000-$6,000 check, because you're making $5,000 in every sale. And I believe for that type of money, it's worth at least saying hello to them.
Sure.
If I'm not mistaken, am I correct in that? It's probably worth it.
Yeah, it's worth $5,000 to go say hi.
Good to say hello. So you live in what city do you live in Colorado?
It's called Aurora. It's just outside of Denver.
Oh, so you're in metropolitan Denver, which is a major city. You've got 3 million people living not too far from there. Is that pretty accurate?
There's a lot of people.
A lot of people. You have no shortage of people that, if they don't give you this $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year, they'll be giving it to someone else. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on board. I just want to figure out how to do it, make it
right.
complete.
You get it complete. Show these illustrations on a daily basis, just like me doing this YouTube on a daily basis. Eventually, I'll get good at this. Yeah, you get good at everything you do, like every day.
Yeah. Okay. You're doing real good. This is a YouTube presentation.
Right. This is a YouTube presentation. But the fact is, you've been doing these, selling financial products to poor people for 7 years. That really has not worked out. Let's do it. Make a right or a left. Let's make a turn. So
that's a good observation, though. Yeah, you're going to be poor if you sell to poor people, and if you get licensed in the less expensive states, that you're kind of setting yourself up to.
Well, forget about the licensing. Remember, these retirement planning vehicles that you're making multiple thousands of dollars, you really should be dealing with people that are somewhat local to you. for that type of money. There's enough people in metropolitan Denver for you to make a living. You don't have to go to, Montana and Wyoming. There's enough people right where you are.
Tons of rich people here. Yeah.
They don't have to be rich. Remember, you're showing people you're showing people an illustration how they're going to save for their retirement. They don't have to be rich. They have to literally just realize that it's not what you make, it's what you save. And every nickel they put into every nickel that they fund for their retirement will determine their well-being when they're 60, 70, and 80 years old.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That's part of your sales pitch. It's not what you make, it's what you save. And that's what insurance companies are licensed and protected by the federal government to help people save money for retirement using a life insurance policy. And you get the first year commission for the most part. So that's a good place to be, and that's what you're licensed to sell. And hopefully we can, make these previous 7 years as if it was a bad memory.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we're good to go. Philip, I do thank you for being here. I'm going to have to say goodbye to you. Hopefully we'll have good news going forward. And we'll see you later at a later date. I'll see you then, Philip. Bye-bye.
Good talking to you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, see you.
I do thank you all for being here at YouTube. I do thank you for being here. I will switch the caption to say, please like and make a comment, subscribe, and tell others about the show. I will be here Monday to Thursday, 12 noon Eastern time, Saturday, Sunday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. In essence, we're trying to get people on track that they're making money as a financial sales professional. I know I did promise previous calls that I would not do so much talking. I would let the guests speak. The fact is we have to get guests who are making money in this business. I believe everyone on this call did get the impression that Philip was really not making so much money. So he, whatever he had to teach us, we probably should do the opposite. But that's besides the point. Philip does have a good sense of humor. So if he does see this, I'm sure he'll take it with a grain of salt. If anyone wants to be a guest on this show, please join my Monday to Thursday call at the very top of naaip.org. There is a 888 phone number. You could certainly join that. During that initial call, we take one person on that 6 pay per week call. Then we flip it over to a video conference. And that's the technique I believe that we will use going forward. Again, I thank you for being here. I will see you here tomorrow as well.